What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Of course, you know it's your boy B High Radio Shout In. Stepping in the building, I got a friend to the show in this thing. I mean, the band is so cold-blooded, they had to haul off and give him his own day on the south side. I'm talking about OG Bell. What's good with it, boss?
Hey, man, first and foremost, let me say this since I took my deep breaths before we started. God is good.
Facts.
God is good. Let me start off with that first.
I'm with you on that.
I'm humbled. I appreciate the opportunity to sit across from you in your nice shirt, your good shirt. You know what I mean? You came out with Sunday's best.
Hey, hold up. Let me get in here, Bell. Bell caught me on a work day. I've been out here in these streets handling business, so I had to go
with
my
good on you, bro.
Hey, appreciate it, man. But you caught me on the work day, Bell. You caught me on the work day.
I should have worn my collared shirt. You know what I mean? I should have worn my collared shirt. You know?
But no, Bell, take me back to square one, man. Growing up in the A-Town, South Side with it, and then seeing the likes of Dallas, Austin, T-Bars, and everybody else get into this music around you and realizing that this might be something that you want to get into as well.
That's interesting. I guess that's the most accurate place to start. And it's funny. I just ran into, I can't remember his name. His last name is Gammon. Mm-hmm. But he's a solicitor for the district attorney in Fulton County.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, man, I know you. And I was like, you don't know me? Oh, shit. He's like, no, we went to school together. We was at vocational school in TV and film production.
Yeah.
He was like, it was me, you, Dallas Austin, and your partner. You had a partner with a curl that was from L.A. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And literally being at that vocational school, which at first I was in, because I'm a barber.
Yeah.
I was cutting hair. I started cutting hair in high school. And thinking about the fact that I knew I wasn't going to go to college. I have a twin sister, Kira Seals, beautiful. Twin sister, academically just off the charts. And she got a full scholarship, and I was fucking around. So I was like, well, maybe this barbering thing is what I need to do professionally.
Yeah.
And I wanted to explore all the avenues. So I went to vocational school, and I went into a cosmetology class. Miss Bundrum was her name. And T-Bars was in the class, and my man who wrote Waterfalls,
Marquez, forgive me.
Marquez Etheridge, he was in the class, and Dallas was in the TV and film class, and Divine Stevens was in another class, but we was all there together.
Does that make sense to you, though, Bell, when you think to yourself, all of this talent, all of these folks going on to do all of this greatness, including yourself, coming from this small little area at the same time, and everybody coming across each other like that?
Hey, man, so I had known Divine based on talent shows and things of that nature, through my big brother Kevin Wells, who essentially is the reason why I had even gotten into the music business, because Kevin Wells discovered the group, or put together the group Another Bad Creation, and he went to high school with me as well. So once I got kicked out of cosmetology class, I was kind of arrogant. I was like, I'm making so much money cutting hair in my garage that I was just arrogant, so they kicked me out. And I ended up in a TV and film production class with Mr. Chatham, and it was me and Dallas and a couple of the homies, a few homies who came out here from California, and which that's a whole nother story. But that was 87. That was 87. So ending up in 1990, I was professionally as a master barber cutting hair on flat shows in Old National at the Hair Gallery. And at the time, ABC in like 89, ABC came out, 89, 90.
Yeah.
And I'm just amazed at hearing these little kids from Gobby Road on the radio and seeing them on BET. And also, I'm just like, wow. And then Kev would come by and get a haircut. He was like, man, I need you to come up to the studio, Dallas Austin's recording projects, DARP, and cut the kids' hair. They got a photo shoot. What you'll charge me? And I was like, should we charge $10 here? He said, no. You got
exactly.
Yeah, like, let me set your budget and get you a check. So I was getting like $400-500.
Shoo.
I was like, shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how in the fuck? This is in my ignorance, and I can say that now. Well, I won't say in my ignorance, in my mind being blown, because I'm seeing Dallas Austin and Kevin Wells, both from College Park, both went to high school with me. I'm seeing them doing multi-million-dollar business.
Shit.
And shit, Kev is like 4 years older than me, and me and Dallas are around the same age. And I'm just like, the light bulb went off in my mind. I was like, whatever you're focused on is what your reality is. Mm-hmm. And their focus was music, choreography, production, songwriting, and that's what paid off for them. My focus was barbering and bullshit. You know what I mean? It literally. It's like, I said, damn. So I started being the on-site barber, meaning a DARP barber, and I spent 3-4 years as the barber for that studio right there on Trebert Avenue. Before there might have been one or two other studios, Boss Town, which is now Stankonia, whatever studio that L.A. Reid and them had, I think it was called La Coca or something like that. And other than that, it was just Dallas. Mm-hmm. And in that studio, I became a student. I became a student of the music industry because I had my clientele included Eric Sherman. My clientele included 2 new producers who had drove down to Atlanta living out of their car named Tim and Bob. My clientele ended up being, of course, ABC and then Boyz II Men.
Yeah.
From there, it was a guy named Puffy who had just lost his job at Uptown.
Yeah.
Will Smith. Busta Rhymes.
My God.
So I had a lot of hours to have one-on-one conversations with people who are actually doing the work.
Yeah.
And that's how I began to learn. And as I began to learn, my mindset started to change. And then the idea that it's possible for me at this time, it's possible for me to be a touring barber, a television show barber, and all this type of shit. But then Tim and Bob asked me to find them a singing group. And that's how I ended up finding this group called Forte at Westlake High School, who later became the group we all know as 112.
My God.
Yeah.
Bill, I got to go back to the barbering before I go into the music, man. I mean, doing these folks' hair and cutting their hair, man, that's a personal experience, okay?
For sure.
You see what I'm saying? That's real personal.
It's funny. That's dope that you say that. That's absolutely
because ain't nobody going to let just anybody in their damn head, man. We all know this. The wrong person in your head can fuck up your life.
I'm going to be honest with you.
They put their life in your hand.
When that first time I cut Puff's hair, and rest in peace, Wolf was there, and my other homeboy, Corey Jacobs. I mean, they weren't my homeboys then, but became the homies. He asked for a part in the middle of his hair.
Oh, shit.
I fucked it up. That motherfucker was not straight.
How did that go?
Yeah, I mean, shit, he still ended up signing my group. So I cut his hair a few times. I actually, and I reminded little seeds of this recently that I cut Biggie's hair for the Soul Train Awards, where where his shoes wouldn't fit, and he was standing on the back of his shoes. I cut his hair that day.
It's crazy.
At the La Montrose Hotel, and they paid me. He paid me in Chronic. Gave me the biggest bud, this little sack of chronic.
Yeah.
And I don't smoke. I don't partake.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled, but at the same time, like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? I had to get that shit away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it home. I was scared, though.
Nah, I feel that.
But, yeah, it's just barbering was the bridge for me to learn.
Folks like Will Smith, though, man, also cutting his hair. What is it like being able to pick his brain while you talking to him?
Well, I cut his hair at the studio, and at the studio it's more I can do my interview.
Yeah.
I can have my time and really, get to know him. And at the time he was married to his first wife. And later on, the last time I cut his hair at the Hotel Nico, which is now the Hyatt Grand, right on Peachtree in Piedmont. And he and his wife and Jazzy Jeff, I cut Jazzy's hair that day too. And I took Wingo from 112 from Jagged Edge. I took him with me, but there was no Jagged Edge. This was maybe 3-4 years before Jagged Edge.
Yeah.
So I took him with me because I just wanted him to be around. He grew up in my neighborhood, like 3 blocks away from me. And it was just interesting seeing that these stars are literally actually just regular people headed to a wedding, him and his first wife. And it was cool. It was a cool experience. And be honest with you, I have not seen Will Smith since. I seen him at a couple of awards, but I wasn't close enough to speak to him or whatever, what have you. But, yeah.
Being behind the scenes like that, though, what were some of the best pieces of game that you was able to pick up that prepared you to get ready for your foray into the music industry?
At the time, professionalism was the order of the day. Artist development was the order of the day. Rehearsals was the order of the day. The goal was for most artists to be able to get a residency and this time R&B, get a residency in Las Vegas when you got old. You know what I mean? Yeah. So everything was about being polished. Everything from management or tour management, road management was to be out of sight, never be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make sure your artist is totally prepared every time they have a radio interview or television interview or a performance. It was all about making sure that the time and effort was put in for them to be exceptional, above average, in order to compete on a high level. In 94, 95 is when Puff signed Forte, who later became 112, and we moved to New York City in like 94, 95.